In this video net interview at IBC 2011, I'm speaking with Julian Signes, President and CEO at Envivio. Hello, Julian.
Hello, John.
Obviously, scaling multiscreen TV is one of the big themes at the show this year. Now, you've already done that with Orange, with hundreds of channels online.
Certainly.
I mean, what are the key challenges?
Well, the key challenges are the explosion of formats. You have many devices, almost each new device has its own video format. So before ATSC DVB was mandating the output formats for television, now television is on many devices. Each device has its own format. So it's a big challenge for operators because they have to adapt the content to so many devices.
Okay, I mean, is it a content ingest and sort of encoding issue, or is it just...
It's mostly the encoding, the formats in terms of resolution, bit rates, as well as the network and protection formats. So it's all along the chain of the outputs, not so much the input, but all the outputs are different.
Okay. I mean, in the past, obviously, operators had the head end for sort of classic video, I guess.
Absolutely.
And then multiscreen sort of came along as an extra.
Absolutely.
I mean, are they at the point now where these are converging?
Absolutely. So we see several phases in operators, and we have deployed traditional operators that had traditional TV, and new operators. So it's a little different. If you're a new operator in video, it's easy to build from the scratch a converged head end because you had no video services before. If you had a TV service, typically you build first an over-the-top multi-screen head end on the side, and then as a second step, you can converge everything. So we see that second step happening in a few operators already. But the end goal, and in terms of operations, it makes a lot of sense to converge the head end.
Sure. I mean, you've always been able to cover IPTV, web and mobile from a single encoder and head end. And now I believe you've introduced MPEG-2 and variable bitrate for the first time. So just explain why you've done that.
Yeah, absolutely. We've done that based on our customer requests. We started to deploy a lot of IPTV provider, traditional cable, traditional satellite, that wants to address the iPad, iPhones, Androids of the world. And so once we have had that, they realized that we could add functions to deliver video to the traditional TV in a StatMax environment. So we've added MPEG-2, StatMax for AVC and MPEG-2 so that we can address converged head end with a traditional broadcast for cable satellite as well as all the multi-screen formats.
So this is demand coming from your customers who use you for multi-screen and they want to use you on a converged head end for their classic TV as well?
Absolutely, and some of them are further along. Some of the North American cable providers are already seeing that vision of a converged head end. Some of them are really in the first steps of just putting in the first implementation of multi-screen. So not everybody's at the same pace, but everybody's going in the same direction.
Okay, and I mean, can we assume that all channels need to be made available in multi-screen? I mean, I know it's a rights issue, but assuming the rights can be determined, will we see 500 plus channels going on to tablets and mobile phones? Absolutely.
Last year we deployed several multi-hundreds of channels to multi-devices in various projects around the world. And we think that the right way to think about multi-screen is really an extension of your pay TV service. So you've got a pay TV service, you just want to be able to access it on your different networks and devices. And so that's really the direction it's taking, and where it's been successful, it's been approached that way, as opposed to a separate, more restricted service. That's an extension of your existing service.
Okay, and for that reason, linear is now very much back on the agenda. And a couple of years ago, it seemed that everybody was talking about multiscreen as more of an on-demand download world. I mean, has that come as a surprise?
Well, I mean, we've always believed in it. I mean, it took more time that everybody wanted and we wanted, but I think it's definitely getting there. Again, it's a factor of the consumer demand, the devices, the network bandwidth. It's a conjunction of factors that make that possible and attainable as a goal and a reality today in many countries.
Okay, and just finally, do we also need to make sure that all the features on the main TV are also available on the multi-screen? I'm thinking in terms of closed captioning and subtitles. No?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the vision of this operator, partially because of legal rights with content owners, partially because they want to replicate the service across devices, insists that the features that are available on TV, like you said, closed caption, multiple audio streams, etc., be ported onto the different devices. So that's still a challenge sometimes because each device, again, has its own format for video, but also for all these types of things. But we kind of, as Envivio, act as a gateway to that, to abstract that problem, and with our knowledge of all the formats, we can make that possible.
Okay, so we really are moving to a world now where we should stop looking at it as multiple screens, but more one TV service, and it just sort of lands on different.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our vision is really that television is just another screen. There's a lot of people, traditional legacy broadcast vendors, like to separate both, just because it fits their business model. They have a strong footprint into traditional broadcast, and they see the multi-screen as a separate offering. But really, fundamentally, from an operation standpoint, from content, from an end-user service point, it makes a lot of sense to see the TV just as one other screen. And I think everybody is aligning to that vision.
Okay, all right. Well, it's interesting times, as always, in this
Absolutely.
industry. And thanks very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.